at the Krusty Krab.
What's up, though?
How much do you know about Japanese traditions?
Not
This
much.
is a question I ask everyone who hears my story.
Hold on. Ooh, shit. Ooh, I feel like detox going through my body. Ooh, shit.
More than anything else, so that they know what I'm talking about. Why we do what we do, so that they understand the dimension of the mistake that my friends and I made that day. The day we opened a door we shouldn't have opened. Let me put it in context. Surely you know Candyman or Bloody Mary, right? The game to summon Hanako-san is quite similar. To start the game, you must go into the third bathroom on the third floor of the school. When you are standing in front of the door, you must say, Hanako-san, 3 times in a row. After doing so, you will hear a girl's voice telling you that she is inside the restroom. After that, you will hear someone flush the toilet, and at that moment, Hanako-san will disappear. On the other hand, there is a possibility that before you flush the toilet, a demonic hand will grab your head and pull you into the toilet together with Hanako-san, condemning you to a fate worse than death.
Jesus.
There are some other rules, of course. It is said that you can see Hanako-san in the toilet as a little girl with a red skirt and black hair. It is also said that Hanako-san will not kill you if you are the top girl in your class. Whatever the rules are, one thing is clear. In Japan, it is normal that summoning Hanako-san, whether she appears or not, is a necessary rite when you are new in school.
Aiko, are you sure you want to do this? I must, otherwise I won't be integrated as part of the group. But what if Hanako-san catches you? Hey, don't worry, May, I'll be fine. Everyone goes through this. Hanako-san doesn't even exist. Yeah, you're right. You'll be fine, Aiko. You're here, Aiko. Yes, I'm ready. Great. Do you know the rules? Yes, I learned them. Excellent. Let's go in together.
We all went to the bathroom together, but when we were getting to the third door, the other girls stayed behind, and I fearfully went into the bathroom and sat on the toilet, closing the door in the process.
You can do it, Aiko. We trust you. Okay, I can do this. Hanako-san. Hanako-san. Hanako-san.
With these words said, the bathroom went into a huge silence. It was as if the cubicle had been transported to a different dimension, totally silent. I could hear nothing but my breathing. I felt that in the bathroom, I was alone.
Girls, nothing happened. Can I come out? Hey, tell me something. Hanako-san didn't show up. I should go, right? Please, answer me.
I didn't know what was going on, but out of nowhere, I started to hear a lot of banging on the door. My friends weren't there. What was going on? From one second to the next, the door slowly opened and the source of the sound was revealed.
You scared me. I'm sorry. It was so tempting. We should have filmed it. Right, Peng? I didn't want to be a part of this. It's disrespectful.
Even though you didn't want to be a part of this, you still are. And with that being said, each of you all are going to get clucked up with very specific, I don't know what I said, with very specific, handcrafted, from nature itself, that was forged and formed and created by the gods and Hanako-san. Two million years ago, condoms.
We're sorry, Aiko. Come on, let's get out of here. What was that? It's coming from next door. Let me see. No! I know it's dangerous.
When the door opened, we all screamed with fright and fell backward in fear. It was Hanota. She was just standing next to us, laughing. Her face was totally deformed. Her skin was gray, and her eyes were wild.
Hanota, no!
Terrified, May and I ran to the door, screaming in despair as Feng stared at her friend's body. We banged on the door as hard as we could, but it was locked. What was happening? Were we locked in? Suddenly, we heard the sound of the toilet in the second cubicle. It rattled non-stop as if it was stuck.
Feng! Oh no!
I ran desperately to the source of the sound, and when we arrived, there it was. Feng was drowning in the toilet. I tried to pull her head out, but I couldn't. It was as if something invisible was holding her head, choking her. I backed away, scared, until suddenly, May said something very strange.
You don't feel like disrespecting me anymore, do you? What? May, what are you saying?
As soon as I turned around, I fell to the floor in terror. That wasn't May. That was a young girl with black hair and a red skirt. That was Hanako-san.
Little Aiko, you shouldn't have provoked me. You shouldn't play with things that you don't understand. I didn't do anything. Everyone calls you. I didn't know I was disrespecting you. Oh, but you do. Calling me for such trivial things as a game. That'll be your first and last mistake with me.
I kept my eyes closed for a few seconds, but nothing happened. In fear, I opened them. I was standing in front of the third bathroom door, about to perform the ritual.
Hanako-san.
None of my friends were here. It was all a dream.
Hanako-san.
No, it didn't feel like a dream. It was all very real.
Hanako-san.
It was as if I had been transported to a parallel universe and came back here.
Hanako-san.
At that moment, I realized something terrible. While I was thinking about what was happening, my mouth was saying Hanako-san in front of the door.
Hanako-san.
I couldn't stop saying it. I tried to run to get out of there, but nothing worked.
Hanako-san. Hanako-san. Hanako-san.
It was as if my body was not mine. As if something was controlling it to say Hanako-san in front of the door.
Hanako-san.
Suddenly, my body stopped and stopped saying things. I just froze in front of the bathroom door.
Hanako-san. 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 Hanako-san.
It began to open slowly from inside. I heard a tetric voice.
I'm here.
Before I could react, a terrifying hand came out from inside the toilet and grabbed my head, trying to pull me inside the toilet, trying to drown me. I used all the resistance I could, but nothing worked. I was exhausted. I was swallowing so much water, I couldn't do anything. I alone had entered a game I was never going to win. I had provoked something I didn't even understand, just to make other girls like me. Desperate, I was losing the...
Question. What would happen, during this, right? What would happen if somebody tried to open the door? Because, it's locked. But, what if somebody just tried to, open the door or bust down the door to get into the bathroom? What would have happened?
After my breath, but as if nothing had happened, it was all over. The hand had stopped. I ran out of the bathroom, pushing the door, and on the other side, my friends were there, scared.
Hey, Aiko! Are you okay? Girl, what's wrong?
Girl!
Did you see Hanako-san? Did
Girl.
she spare your life?
Overwhelmed by the situation, the only thing I could do was cry with all my strength. When I told my friends everything, they thought I was playing a joke, but after seeing my face, they believed me. They were all terrified and promised themselves never to do anything like that again. When I got to class, the teacher came up to me with a big smile and congratulated me for obtaining the highest grade in the class. Terrified, I received the grade and looked at my friends, who understood what was going on in my head. Hanako-san spares the lives of the girls who get the highest grade. If I hadn't have done so well on this exam, who knows what would have happened to me.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos...
Let's be realistic. At least if you're going to say this part of the video, at least change up the percentages. Because, like, I feel like it's been the same percentages for months.
Actually subscribe. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy.
Even 20 years later, I hate being in small enclosed spaces. My name is Jason, and about 20 years ago, something happened that remains vivid in my mind. I still wake up clammy, and my heart pounds as I feel the familiar presence of her next to me. Her breathing labored together with me in the darkness. I remember that day vividly. It was like any other day. Classes were dragging on, and I was eager to get out of school. But then my teacher, Mrs. Kravitz, said I had to stay after class for homework.
But she has eyebrows.
She had always been a bit of a buzzkill, but I think her husband had gotten into a fight with her that morning. Talk about a major buzzkill. Walking back into the classroom after a phone call, her demeanor told me everything I needed to know about the rest of the day.
Jason, have you completed your homework?
Not yet, Mrs. Kravitz.
Well, then I'm afraid you'll have to stay after class today.
I tried to protest, but she wasn't having any of it. So I resigned myself to my fate and began packing up my things. As I was putting my books in my backpack, I noticed that Mrs. Kravitz was looking at me funny. It was the kind of look that told me I was in for a seriously trashy time this afternoon.
Is there something wrong, Mrs. Kravitz?
Your grades have been slipping, Jason. Do you want to be a failure?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Kravitz. I'll try harder.
See that you do. Now, let's get started on your homework.
And so we began working on my homework. The minutes turned into hours, and the hours turned into what felt like days. Mrs. Kravitz was a tough taskmaster, but I slogged through it. Finally, however, we were nearing the end of the assignment.
I really hope she did not just look at this boy this whole time like that.
Just a few more problems and you'll be free to go, Jason.
Now, let me explain something about the school to you. This was a private school, see, so there were only a handful of students. And the school was located in a remote area, so there weren't any other buildings nearby. In other words, there was no one else around as I studied with Mrs. Kravitz.
She's still looking at him.
For this reason, the rest of the lights in the building had already been turned off, giving the entire school a bit of a creepy feeling. I wasn't paying any attention to that, though, since I was just happy to be done with my homework. As I stood up to put away my things, the hallway light, which was off, suddenly turned on.
What the?
I turned to Mrs. Kravitz, but she just shrugged her shoulders.
The janitor must have left it on. Go turn it off, Jason.
Sighing, I walked out into the hallway. The light switch was several yards away, so I had to walk down the length of the hallway. As I did, I couldn't help but feel like someone was watching me. It was a feeling that gave me the creeps, but I told myself that it was just my imagination. Finally, I reached the light switch and turned it off. As I did, I heard a noise behind me. Turning around, I looked down the length of the hallway. At the very end of the hallway, a figure stood there in the dark.
You got two options. 3. You can either pass out and die because of how scared you are. You can jump out this window, out, or you can go into the classroom with your creepy ass teacher. What you gonna do?
Its silhouette illuminated by the soft light coming from the windows. Long, frazzled hair was the defining feature I could make out, along with some kind of long dress.
Who's there?
There was no answer, but the figure began walking towards me, slowly but methodically. I squirmed uncomfortably, but assured myself it was probably just one of my classmates playing a prank on me.
My ass.
As the silhouette neared the classroom door, however, Mrs. Kravitz poked her head out.
Jason, what are you doing out there? Get in here.
As she did, the figure sprung into action, lurching towards Mrs. Kravitz. It grabbed her around the throat and dragged her, kicking and screaming, back into the classroom. I heard the classroom light switch flick as the room went dark, blood-curdling screams echoing through the hallway. I stood there, frozen in fear, not knowing what to do. I thought about running away, but I didn't want to leave Mrs. Kravitz behind.
My ass.
I also thought about going into the classroom to see if I could help her,
Where'd
but
she go?
I was too scared. In the end, I just stood there like a deer in headlights. I don't know how long I stood there, but eventually the screams stopped. The only sound I could hear was the sound of heavy breathing coming from the classroom, and then the figure emerged from the darkness. Her face was covered in blood, and her eyes were wild. It was a girl, about my age, but I didn't recognize her. She
This is a true story? What the hell?
looked at me for a moment, and I could see the madness in her eyes. Finally, my body gave way as I screamed, my voice echoing through the empty hall.
Ah! Get away from me!
Turning, I lunged down the hallway towards the exit.
It's been 6 hours since you encountered this demon-looking thing, and you just now running. Clock you.
I could hear the girl laughing maniacally as she gave chase. My heart pounded in my chest as I turned the corner, expecting to run out of the door and into the safety of the outside world. Instead, I ran into a brick wall. The impact knocked the wind out of me, and I fell to the ground. In the terror, I had taken the wrong turn and headed deeper into the school rather than toward the exit. And then I heard her laughter, a freaky sort of cackle that sent shivers down my spine. It was the laughter of someone who is truly insane, a person on the edge of the void. I picked myself up and began to run once more, stumbling as I realized I had sprained one of my ankles in the fall. Her laughter suddenly stopped. I continued to run though, till I saw a janitor's closet. I quickly ran inside, slamming the door shut behind me and locking it. I kept the light off, silently trembling as I stayed there in the darkness. I don't know how long I was in there, but my senses began to heighten as I listened. And as I did, my heart sank as I heard the steady but heavy breathing from right next to me, inside the janitor's closet. To this day, I don't know how she got in there with me. I don't know if there was another entrance to the closet, or if she simply slipped in there as I ran in. All I know is that she was in there with me, and I could feel her insanity next to my body. Her breathing, her raspy breathing, it was like nails on a chalkboard. Screaming, I threw myself out of the closet and into the hallway. I sprinted towards the exit, not looking back as I heard her laughter following me.
Get the hell away from me!
I screamed those words, but I don't know if anyone heard me. Finally, I found the exit and I ran out of the school and into the parking lot where my car was parked. The door was unlocked as I had left it, and I scrambled to grab my phone and call the police. As I did, I glanced up and I saw her figure standing at the door of the school. The police told me later that she was an escapee from a mental institution. They never did catch her, at least last time I checked. To this day, I half expect her to show up at my door, that freaky cackle of hers still echoing in my ears.
There's no security at
At
these...
the beginning of my career, I taught English in a local high school.
You look mean as shit. And you look sus. I just want to let you know that.
I had just gotten married and was one of the youngest teachers in that school. It was my first day, and I was going to my class when I saw two boys bullying a girl.
Stop it! Stop it!
She screamed so loud that everyone went quiet.
Wednesday?
Other teachers came out of their classes, Students gathered in the corridor, and all eyes were on her. The boys who were bullying stepped back in fear. To take control of the situation, I rushed to them.
Boys, go to your classes now, and make sure you two see me with your parents after school.
They ran away. Everyone got back to their job, and I walked to my class. I started writing my name on the board to introduce myself to my first batch of students when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around and saw that same girl walk into my class. She sat down on the last bench, and I continued with the class.
Tamara?
The day went well. A few days later, when I had finally settled down with my new job and new place, a weird thing started happening. Someone left small notes stuck to my car windshield. Nothing was written on them, only a picture of a boy and a girl standing side by side holding hands. The boy had the same hair and clothes as mine, but the girl wore a wedding dress. No matter how weird the notes were, I brushed them off as a prank by a student. By the fifth note, I got a message. The sender of these notes wrote,
Why don't you notice me?
Pause.
I quickly looked around. All the kids were leaving.
Pause. I'm not catching no case today. Let me get transferred, please.
We're walking home in groups. Suddenly, my eyes spotted this big bushy tree on the opposite side
Oh
of the
my
street.
God.
The girl from the first day was standing there. She had this big smile on her face. Her eyes were wide open. It felt so creepy the way she was watching me. I realized she was the one sending me all these love notes. Damn, I think she developed a crush on me. I was a married man and wanted no trouble with a teenage girl. So, I curled the note into a ball, threw it on the gutter, and got in my car. The girl's smile faded as she watched me drive.
Shit. I know where this is going. She's gonna do some clucked up shit. I bet you. Cause all you really, I've never been in this situation before, from a teacher's standpoint, from a student standpoint. But I feel like if you just talk to the student and let you know, the situation, that you're married, you're a teacher, you're probably 16. I'm 35. What you think? What's gonna happen? There's a lot of variables in this situation right now, and no. Wednesday, you're not gonna get me today. Try Friday.
Off. I didn't tell my wife because I thought she might misinterpret the situation. The next day, I took off and spent the entire day with my wife. We went to the club, danced, and got drunk. We had a wild night after that. The next day was a Sunday. I went to buy some groceries at the local market. My wife went along. We were picking up apples when I heard a woman call out to my wife.
Rhonda, how have you been?
Hello, Mrs. Dempsey.
She introduced me to this woman who had happened to be the mayor's wife. I went to shake hands with her when that girl from school marched behind her.
Oh my God.
You must be the new English teacher. Pamela said you helped her stand up to her bullies.
I awkwardly smiled, and the girl watched my wife from tip to toe with a blank face. My wife could sense the tension on my face, so I told the woman it was nothing huge, just my duty as a teacher.
Why didn't you come yesterday, Mr. Tamara?
As shocked as we all were by the question, my discomfort grew further.
I just need some rest. Thanks for asking, Pamela.
Will you be at school tomorrow?
Yes, I will.
She walked away with her mom, and my wife and I finished the rest of shopping. Once we got in the car, my wife asked what happened to that girl. I told her everything except for the love notes. She nodded her head and said that the girl was weird. She didn't like the way Pamela checked her out. The next day, I had just finished the class and was going to the teacher's room for lunch when I heard my name.
Mr. Tamara?
I turned around and the girl was standing right behind me, almost giving me a heart attack.
I brought cookies for you.
I'm good.
I tried for the first time.
Thanks, but I can't take them, Pamela.
Why not? It's for you.
I don't like cookies. Thanks, anyway.
Her face shook down and she got quiet. I stood there awkwardly and then turned around to walk back.
You don't like cookies? You could have made up a better lie than that. I mean, you could have just said, I've been on a water fast for 6 years. That's the only thing I eat and drink is water. You know? Mm-hmm.
Did your wife tell you to stay away from me?
God.
What?
Why don't you understand?
What are you talking about?
You have to leave your wife. She's coming between us.
My
What?
patience drew the line there. I looked her in the eye and said in a strict tone,
I'm your teacher, Pamela. You better remember that or I will call your parents.
Her eyes burned in anger. She ground her teeth like a wolf, then left me alone. I made up my mind that today, once I get home, I will tell my wife about this psycho girl. But the principal held a meeting on an upcoming exam, so I had to stay a little late. Once I finally got off work, I rushed home. As I arrived on the front porch, I found the door half open.
Oh my God.
I entered the house, and it was in drop-dead silent.
Rhonda, I'm home.
I might have called out a little loud. Suddenly, I heard whimpering sobs coming from the kitchen. I followed it and saw Pamela was holding a knife at Rhonda, and she was barely trying not to cry. Our eyes met, and I realized the gravity of the situation. I started talking to Pamela.
Pamela, put down the knife.
Why? So you can ditch me for her?
Okay. I'll divorce her and be with you.
Will you?
I nodded my head up and down, saying,
Yes.
Pamela slowly backed off to come towards me. When she was close, I jumped to grab the knife away, and she panicked. I got stabbed in the shoulder.
Ah.
When the paramedics were taking me away on the stretcher, I heard Rhonda crying and Pamela ranting to the cops like a maniac.
He will live, right?
The lady cops grabbed her and started taking her away. I could hear her screams until the ambulance doors closed. She was kicking in the air, screaming at the top.
Mr. Tamara, I swear, I didn't mean to hurt you. Please, don't hate me.
I was discharged after a month. I wanted to quit my job and shift to another place, but Rhonda stopped me. She told me that Pamela was sent to a juvenile mental institution and her family went with her. I still get nightmares where I see Pamela standing next to my bed, leaning over my face and saying,
Why don't you notice me?
I just want to say, at these mental asylums, these mental hospitals, there needs to be more security. Because obviously they're not right in the head. So you need to watch them 24/7. They're in the cameras. Also, I just want to end on this note. What the clock is wrong with people? Keep cool, keep classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my family. Mama, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Y'all can't see her, but like she's like laying in my lap, but she's like in a ball. I'm sorry, Mama. You have to get up. Sorry, mamas. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my family.